That's right, everyone. We don't like change. In all mediums of entertainment, everything has a formula. From horror movies to FPS games, each has their respected formulas that make them what they are, and that is what makes people want to pay to see or play them. The question is, what happens when you change the formula? Companies ask themselves this question all the time. Can we take the risk and present this in a different format and hope people will still like it? Anyway, I'm going to focus mostly on video games. No, I don't have a business degree or marketing degree or anything else like that, but the evidence is out there, and the answers are very clear. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Let's take a look at one of the series that changed first-person shooter games forever. In 2001, a small game was released called Halo Combat Evolved on PC and Xbox. We all know Halo franchise as the mammoth science fiction first-person shooter that was first to bring online multiplayer to the way we know it today. Upon release, Halo Combat Evolved broke sales records with 1 million copies sold. For a game that did a lot of firsts for the FPS genre, this is a lot of copies. By November 9th of 2005, Halo had sold over 5 million copies worldwide. Following Halo Combat Evolved is Halo 2. Halo 2 has sold about 8 million copies. And to wrap this all up on a high note, we have Halo 3. Halo 3 sold right around 12 million copies, the most for any Halo game to date. This is the point that developer Bungie decided to change things up. First, we'll cover two games that didn't change as much, but were still different from the first three. Following Halo 3 is Halo 3 ODST. ODST sold about 6 million copies. Why? Because there was some changes. Is it still made by Bungie? Yes. Still an FPS? I would say so. Features beloved main character, the Master Chief? Not even close. Has Spartans at all? No. I wonder why ODST not only underperformed Halo 3, but also Halo Reach. With not being a Spartan, you take away the armor with regenerating shield, but the layout for ODST was more of an open world with boundaries type, whereas all the other games are linear storylines. Halo Reach did a lot better than ODST by selling about 9.7 million copies. The only thing that changed here was that you're not the Master Chief, but you are a team of Spartans still. Now, we're going to talk about the biggest flop for the Halo franchise, Halo Wars. Released under developers Bungie in 2009, they took a huge step by changing the core gameplay. To compare, it is very clear that Halo Wars is the only game that is not FPS. Rather, it is the first and only RTS Halo game. It's rather interesting because Halo was originally planned on being an RTS style game from the start. Following in the monstrous shadows of the franchise's biggest hit, Halo 3 with 12 million copies sold, this game didn't even come close. No, Halo Wars has undersold every Halo game that I've listed here, with only 2.5 million copies sold. But it is Bungie's own fault for changing the entire way you play the game. But seeing how big this franchise is, Bungie knew the risk in doing this, and seeing the sales figure that Halo 3 and ODST have combined, they also knew that it wouldn't be that big of a loss in the long run. The Halo franchise is not the only huge franchise to have this happen. Other examples are out there too. My personal favorite FPS franchise, Battlefield, has never really changed their game. That is good, because fans don't like change. I mean, look at Halo Wars. Anyway, Let's look at the facts. 2011's Battlefield 3 brought a slew of new things to the franchise, including the Frostbite 3 engine, which brought better graphics and better destruction to the environments you play in. BF3 has sold 15 million copies since its release. 2 years later, the next incarnation of the franchise, Battlefield 4, was released, not really bringing anything new to the table. It's still a military FPS game with a few added features, like a point system in the campaign and weapons that are unlocked by finding them throughout the campaign. Each campaign mission also gave a certain reward for getting a certain amount of points in the mission. Even though they seemed to make several improvements to the game while maintaining the core gameplay, Battlefield 4 undersold Battlefield 3 with 13.8 million copies sold. But in 2015, the franchise changed things up. They didn't pull a Halo Wars and change the core gameplay, but instead they changed what makes Battlefield, well, Battlefield. Generally in most FPS games you are in some form of the military. What did EA do to change that? Well, in 2015, EA and Visceral Games released Battlefield Hardline. What did most people realize when they started the game? Well, it's not a military FPS. Instead, Battlefield Hardline went the route of cops and robbers. To some, like myself, the change was not at all bad. In fact, I personally like Hardline's story. But Hardline failed to outsell Battlefield 3 and 4 with only 4.1 million copies sold. Now, doing a theory like this, we all know that I can't ignore the fact that I've just talked about two of the big three named FPS games out there. Well, I think it's time we talk about the third one. So, we're going to talk about Call of Duty. Developers Activision have been hiding the truth about their hit franchise. Since Modern Warfare 3, sales of titles released after it have been selling less and less. Modern Warfare 3 has sold 26.5 million copies. Following Modern Warfare 3 is Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which has sold 24 million copies, substantially less than Modern Warfare 3. Next we have Call of Duty Ghosts, doing a little bit worse than Black Ops 2, with only 16.5 million copies sold. And, wrapping it all up, we have Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare hit hard, selling a lot less than Call of Duty Ghosts did, with 11.44 million copies sold. I can tell you from personal experience that Call of Duty is going through a rapid scene change. Gone are the battlefields of World War II, or those of a modern landscape that most players love. Since Black Ops 2 hit, Call of Duty has peered into the future and has put its take on what futuristic warfare will be like. Everything from exoskeleton suits to mech robots and futuristic scopes for weapons. Since then, the Call of Duty franchise is going that way, with their recently released trailer for their newest title, Infinite Warfare, having actual space-type combat that you would see in Halo. It seems that this is the way that the franchise wants to go, despite numerous players and people telling you on Twitter and Facebook that they don't want that. It's not what they want, people. But why the fuck are you doing it? I don't know. But it's entirely stupid if you ask me. I mean, I jumped off after Advanced Warfare. I said, no, I'm done with this bullshit. This is bullshit, Call of Duty. I'll sit here and I'll play Battlefield, anything else but you, with the exception of Modern Warfare 3. I personally really love that game. Black Ops, oh, love that. Anyway. So, if you were going to take away something from this, that change, no matter what form that takes, us consumers, we do not like it. There are some who will, but most will not. For major AAA developers like the ones discussed, they have the money to take the risk because they'll bounce back no matter what. It doesn't matter to them. But, all things aside, this is just my theory.